So the GOAT of college football had something to say about the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns coming to the SEC at SEC Media Days. And I'm going to be honest, kind of shocked your boy that he decided to say the things that he said, especially about Texas. In a way, it was a surprise. But the Oklahoma praise really got my attention. Let's dive into both statements. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. All right, as y'all know, I'm here at SEC Media Days, so your boys record from hotel room and all that jazz. But hey, I want to dive into what Nick Saban said on the SEC Network, as well as in an interview when discussing Oklahoma and Texas coming into the SEC. It was a little bit intriguing because he didn't pull no punches. He kind of, said it as it is. So, with that, let's hear what Saban said about Texas first. Then we'll dive into Oklahoma.
You know, what kind of tickles me is all these people asking these questions about how Texas always ran the conference they were in. They're not going to run the SEC. There's a whole lot of arrogant people in a lot of places in the SEC, so they can forget all about that. They'll be a good team and a great program, and Stark will do a great job, but that's not going to be a problem.
It's a little different.
So that's what the GOAT said. He threw out there, Texas ain't going to run things when they get here. And now, it's a little bit more context to what he was stating because there's a lot more. It's more of a background thing than what we were talking about. It's funny because the immediate reaction online was Texas ain't running no Big 12. They ain't never ran no Big 12. Show me the wins that the Texas had, right? So that's the first thing that fans did. Well, then, of course, Texas fans had to defend themselves and showed all of their swimming championships, right? They showed they got like 200 and something championships in the Big 12 across all sports, with Oklahoma State right behind them and then OU. So, of course, they were getting super defensive about just how great they are in every single thing outside of football. We totally get that. But when you actually paid attention to what Nick Saban was talking about, he wasn't talking about just football. He wasn't even really talking about any of the sports. He was talking about the way that Texas just operates as an organization, as a brand, as a people, as an ethos, right? Texas is infamous for really tossing around their weight when it comes to like the TV contracts and getting their cut, and because of how large of a brand there are and how many people are fans, all of that. They've always thrown that around when it comes to negotiations. And so for them, it has always become beneficial in that conversation. And so, as you all know, Texas A&M bounced from the Big 12 because Texas had the Longhorn Network. And they didn't feel like they deserved the opportunity to create their own TV network and nobody else would be able to. Texas wanted that. The Big 12 decided that, we should probably go ahead and give that to them. And they did, which led to a few teams not really feeling what's going on. And so you saw A&M leave. You saw Missouri leave, right? I think there's some animosity around Nebraska with them as well. It's just Texas is infamous for really pushing their weight around. And Saban basically pointed out, look, you come to the SEC, you ain't going to be able to do that, right? You think you'll be able to do that. But here in the SEC, that game ain't going to be played because SEC teams understand who has the actual power. And it's not just the individual organizations. It's them as a whole, them as a unit, because the entire unit itself is what typically wins, right? And that's why you also hear like your mid-tier and lower-tier SEC teams rave about being in the SEC. It's a brand. It's it's everything. They are in lockstep from top to bottom, which is one thing you can appreciate, especially when it comes to negotiations around TV deals and brand stuff. They work in lockstep as much as possible. So I totally get where Saban was coming from because he's 100% right. Texas is not going to be able to walk into this conference and push their weight around. Everybody's going to look at them and be like, we were making way more money than you were before you even got here. Now, you may be adding something to it, but don't play yourself and think that you're in charge. Most of these teams, I'll be honest, I said this and people laughed at me. I was like, hey, there's a better chance for Texas to go independent than for them to push people around in the SEC. And I stick by it because, and it's no shade to Texas. It's just pointing out the politics behind college sports. Texas has always done that. And I promise you it won't last long. So that's basically what Saban said there. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know your thoughts. We would love to hear from you on that. All right, let's talk about what Saban said about Oklahoma because, of course, I got to play it for you. This is what Saban said.
I think he's a really, really good coach. He's a hard worker. He's an attention to detail guy. He's one of the best defensive coaches, probably in college football. And I think their roster is getting better, especially on the defensive side, which was the issue. They've had really good offensive teams, and when Lincoln was there, and were never quite good enough on defense to get it over the hump. But I think they're getting better as a total balanced roster in terms of the kind of athletes they have, the kind of speed they have, the kind of athleticism they have on their team.
I know, right? Ain't that pretty dope? So Saban recognizes, and I think the reason why he recognizes this, he recognizes that Brent Venables is fixing one of the major problems that Oklahoma had, which was what? The defense. And being that Saban's a defensive guy, he understands what Brent Venables is doing. But I love the fact that he praised him, pointed out that he's doing things right, he's getting things better. And because he's getting the defense better and he's recruited better, Oklahoma should see a much bigger deal going forward. I love to hear that, right? So, and Saban's not lying to you all with that, right? That's the one thing that you've heard me preach here on the show. You hear me talk about this live, talk about this a lot. The defense is going to dictate what Oklahoma does this coming season. And to be honest, it'll probably dictate what happens in 25 and going forward. Because Brent Venables is a defensive guy. He's similar to a Saban. He's similar to a Kirby Smart. They're focused on the defensive side. They hire guys on the offensive side that can be innovative as well as play to the strengths of what they have. And then, boom, they go out there and show success. And so I thought it was intriguing seeing what Saban had to say on this conversation and just the fact that he gave Oklahoma praise, right? Like he said that Texas is going to be a good team. They'll be fine. He also has pointed out that Oklahoma, because there's so many people pushing back on Oklahoma's opportunity here in the SEC, and they think they're going to walk in and be super mediocre. The right people, the ones that know ball, the ones that watch ball, the ones that understand ball, the talking heads that most of y'all don't like, is pointing out that, no, Oklahoma's going to be fine. They understand that Oklahoma traditionally has been a power, and they're going to maintain that. And that's what we're going to see here with Brent Venables and this staff and this team going into the SEC. It's going to be fun. So I hope everybody makes sure you have fun this season, because I'm going to keep telling y'all, have fun. It's going to be a really good time. And the one thing we know that about good times is it's a lot funner whenever you're winning. And so I do anticipate some good W's. I anticipate us doing things that a lot of us may not have expected. But the key thing here is Oklahoma's not slouched. They're not going to walk in here and be bad. So I don't want to keep, kicking that dead horse, but it's a reminder. Nick Saban sees it. As a legend that retires, he recognizes the growth that's coming from his program. And throughout the SEC media days, you heard each coach talk about, Oklahoma and Texas coming in, historical programs, talk about Oklahoma and how they did a great job of bouncing back after the first year and how they're revamping things and things are really looking up, especially because things are looking like they're focused on what Brent Venables wants to focus on, which is what? You got it. Defense. And so I'm hoping all of y'all see that like I do. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know your thoughts, how y'all feeling about it. Because me personally, I love the fact that this legend, this GOAT, came in here and told y'all what things were going to be. If you made this far, like the content, go ahead, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Would love for you to join this family of college football fans. We're talking OU football, SEC football, and college football in general, and having a blast doing it. All right, we'll drop more content around SEC Media Days, especially tomorrow, or maybe today, depending on when you're watching this video, because on Tuesday, you'll have OU getting up there. You'll have Jackson Arnold up there. You'll have Danny Stutzman, all of that jazz. So make sure y'all tune in. I'm going to ask them all some questions because I got some off-the-wall questions to ask because we're going to have some fun while we're here. Besides that, we'll chop it up with y'all later. Check me out over on Locked On Sooners. Me and John is going to be talking about SEC Media Days each day this week. Any comments from the coaches, any feedback, all of that jazz. So check that out. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Peace.